So, Shori, just to open it up, when I think of Japan and Madrid, two separate, completely different countries,
Yes.
how did the thought to land in Spain to work even come about? And how has that experience compared to what you thought it would be?
Well, growing up in Japan, I think I was taught to work hard, and then put loads of concentration on details and stuff. But then once you see some, games in La Liga or even, Japan against Spain, I think Spain does, mostly tactically, I think they do a lot better, but not in the way that they work hard, they push hard, I think Japan's one of the best countries in terms of high pressure or running more than everybody else, but I think Spain does the job really calmly, so relaxed. And I was like, why do they play good, and then I think when I was little kid, started to watch a lot of European football. I think it was the time that when Spanish clubs, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico, those teams are going to final, semi-final to Champions almost every year. So I think I had huge, interest, influence from them, and then I wanted to learn from these people, since childhood. Always I wanted to. In general, I wanted to come to Europe, but especially in this country to learn something that I probably didn't learn in Japan.
Yeah. Now, what you did learn in Japan, just as you mentioned, kind of the system too, they really pressed, they really worked hard.
Yeah.
You yourself mentioned that you were a former player. What about the skills sets from Japan, playing that outside?
Yeah. So I think Japanese players, young talents or even professional players, I think they do small techniques, almost, perfectly, right? Let's say passing, face to face, passing. I think they do phenomenal. And then even 1v1, I think there's so many players that can beat, good defenders in general. But once they expand, let's say not only 1v1, but 2v1, 2v2, not only just passing, face to face, but let's say passing triangle, or passing square. Not positioning only 2 versus 2, but more 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5. I think when we start playing bigger numbers, bigger field, I think that's when we Japanese players start losing good technique,
Yeah. And why do you think that?
I think because football is obviously open skill game, right? But I think the way we train in Japan is closed skill, for example, Japan has one of the greatest baseball players, in my opinion. Obviously baseball is pitcher against batter or hitter, right? So it has to be open skill, right?
Yeah.
But then in a sense, I think baseball is okay, you practice 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours, this skill, and then I think we could win, WBC, or I think, MVP, Otani Shohei, and so on, Ichiro as well, and there are so many great players in the States as well, right? As a baseball player. But then if you see football, I think it's it's 11v11. For me, baseball can be sometimes 1v1 plus other 8 players, but I think in football field there's 11v11. It's 1v1 times 11, or more 11 versus 11 players, you know. So once you just practice, let's say set pieces or just passing, you know, patterns, I think once the defenders come to us, you know, approach pressure, I think we're gonna lose all the techniques that we practice on the field. And then I think I saw some Japanese, you know, under 15 or under 16 team came to this, you know, this very field, and then they play against Rayo Vallecano, well, under 14, under 15, and then I could see, you know, those aspects. So
now, on the other hand, the aspect of attention to details also, I'm sure, has paid off greatly for you, because I can't imagine not having a concrete plan to go from Japan to come here to make a living, to get an opportunity. What went right on that journey to be here right now?
What went right?
Yeah.
Well, that's I think that's a tough question. I mean, I tend to focus on like what I can do at that moment, you know. Obviously I try to set like long-term goals, right? But then I think I want to enjoy like every single minute, you know, right now in this field. And then, you know, I try to help people. I try to learn from anybody, you know, on the field. And then I think every day I can feel, oh, I'm growing every day, I'm learning every day, you know. And then I think like little by little, you know, like poco a poco in Espanol, you know. It's like, it's not like, oh, I mean, obviously I set like midterm goals.
Like for example, for example, when you first landed here, you're on the plane, you're like, okay, I'm leaving my country, starting a new life. What was a pressing message that you kept in your heart as you embarked on that journey to even start?
Well, so I think the greatest lesson I learned in the States while I did a 4-year degree over there.
In Oregon, right?
Yeah. I think, you know, all the coaches that I met, all the players that I met, I think I could learn like how to work, you know, harder than anybody else, you know. The professionalism, that's what they taught me. And then I think, I mean, I kind of imagine that Spain, as I say, it's kind of like people that are kind of like relaxing, you know, like chilling, you know, not like
no pasa
nada, you know, da igual, you know. And then I kind of was thinking about that, right? So maybe I could try to be somebody like them, but also I can keep working harder than anybody else, so that, you know, I can keep going, you know, forward, right? So like I try to be like myself. Okay, I should work harder than anybody else. I try to find something, you know, that I can do, or if there's something that I cannot do, I try to, you know, ask or learn from somebody else. And then I think that's the key to, you know, because I didn't know, like first year I didn't know how I could join, you know, the first division club, or like even like a local team, you know, that plays.
Because really, you came here not knowing anybody.
Not knowing anybody,
okay.
not knowing anybody, and then maybe I could say hi and then, you know, introduce myself in Spanish, but I had like zero knowledge in general. I mean, I could count until 100, for example, but not like I wasn't prepared enough in terms of language. So like I went to the language school that you're
both
now
going to
studying,
academic contacto with Professor Lola. She's great.
She's a great.
Shout out for her, because she'll be listening to this.
So I mean, you know, only like 3-4 months over there, but you know, like first week I didn't know anything about Spain in general. I didn't even think about football, you know. Okay, obviously I wanted to go to find some club teams, or maybe, you know, go to some practice, you know, like to watch and stuff. But, you know, first 3-4 months I'm gonna focus on Spanish. So I didn't really think about football, you know. Just get the, you know, the rhythm with the language, and then after that I started to to speak to somebody in the, you know, like it was I think 8th division or 9th division club here, and then started to have more like connections and so on. But like first couple of months I didn't
was just Spanish. It wasn't even about work. It was just focused on learning the language.
Exactly.
And I have to ask you, because my language learning journey has been a little different, very intense. But what did yours look like? For example, for me, I remember just when I first started, I'd be talking in front of the mirror. I would be saying the same word over and over. What was it like for you? Because mine's has been pretty intense. But.
I mean, I tried to, like, even with my classmates. I mean, obviously, our level wasn't, you know, like, how would you say, like, enough to continue the conversation. But even during the, you know, like lunch break or after school, you know, going out, I think, you know, not with everybody else, not with everybody in the class, but try to have Spanish conversation with my classmates, you know, some of them. And also wherever I go, you know, even in the in my how do I say, even in my apartment or outside of apartment, I try to speak to somebody like local, somebody native.
And how do you feel regarding to connecting with natives, especially when you're first learning the language? How welcoming were they in your experience?
How welcoming?
Yeah.
I think they like to be, you know, spoken to by foreigners in their languages. I think when I say just hi and then start to, you know, ask them some random question, they'll be like smiling, and then I think they're eager to keep conversating. I think like I don't know, I mean, like probably in other countries they might be like, oh, if you're not native, okay, don't even speak to me. That might happen.
Well, I think I asked because I think when I came here, I mean, obviously had a baseline, but I felt like they were always willing to help, but realistically I never really knew what it's like to build like a friendship with someone from here. But I did notice their attention to details, just trying to make you calm, because in the States it's like I hate to say it, sometimes if you don't know English, they're like, okay, next, you know, they're in a rush to do the next thing. But I appreciated Spain that the natives want to help you. So very, very interesting.